Hello, everyone. I really appreciate the love and support in this community. I am looking for advice on how to overcome the predicament I'm in. A month ago, my fiance, 28M, discovered that I had been having an affair with a guy friend I've known for 17 years. What makes it even harder to accept is that this happened during a really happy time in our lives. We were in the middle of planning our wedding. The fact that I betrayed him when we were so close to starting our future together makes this all the more painful and confusing for both of us. My fiance's anger and hurt has been festering since D-Day, so much so that it's getting difficult to watch the man he's become. While I've tried to give as complete a picture as possible of my affair, there were times when I didn't fully disclose everything right away, which only deepened his distrust. Subsequently, his anger. Initially, he suggested we take a temporary break so we could both have some space to figure out everything. I've been staying in a motel for the past month, and now he's told me that he thinks we need a longer-term separation. He's leaning towards breaking up entirely, which breaks my heart, but I understand why he feels this way. Every time we try to talk, it turns into hours-long arguments where he tells me how worthless I am, how I've destroyed our relationship, and how I don't deserve to be with anyone. And I agree with him on all of that. I know I've caused him immense pain, and I don't blame him for needing space. But I do not want a broken engagement. I know for a fact my fiancé will not keep quiet about what led to our broken engagement if it were to happen. I know I'm being selfish, but I'm desperate. I want to work on myself and find a way to heal, but I'm scared that this separation will just push us further apart and make it impossible to reconcile. If you have been in a similar situation, how did you handle the separation? Were you able to reconcile after a longer break? Thank you in advance for your thoughts and support. Update 1. I had an affair with a longtime guy friend while my fiancé and I were in the midst of planning our wedding. After D-Day a month ago, my fiancé asked for a temporary break, and I moved into an Airbnb. He's since told me that he thinks we need a longer separation, and he's seriously considering breaking up for good. In the past few weeks, I've been doing everything I can to prove that I'm committed to changing and making amends for the damage I've caused. I've cut off all contact with the AP, started seeing a therapist twice a week, and even connected with a support group to help me work through my issues. I know none of this erases what I did, but I'm trying to show that I'm serious about becoming a better person. There's been a noticeable shift in how my fiancé is acting lately, and it's thrown me for a loop. For the first time since this all happened, he started reaching out to me, not to argue or vent his anger, but to ask me to come by and talk. He's acknowledged the steps I've been taking, and we've even had a few civil conversations, which is a huge change from the hours-long arguments we were having before. Though it's still tentative and there's a lot of tension beneath the surface. We've also discussed more practical matters, like me finding an apartment nearby so we can both have some space while figuring out what's next. He mentioned that he's thought about letting me stay in the house during this process, but he ultimately decided he couldn't do that right now. He's still deeply hurt, and I don't blame him at all. I've given him every reason to feel that way. I'm trying to understand what this shift in his attitude means. Is this just him accepting that we might be heading towards a breakup? Or could it be a sign that he's starting to see the changes I'm making? I'm still holding out hope that we can work towards reconciliation, but I also want to be realistic and prepare myself for whatever comes next. For those of you who have been in similar situations, is this kind of change in attitude normal? Does it mean he's coming to terms with the idea of separation? Or could it be a sign that there's a chance for us to rebuild? I know I've messed up in ways that can't be undone, but I'm praying that the work I'm putting in will at least open the door to the possibility of us finding our way back to each other. Any insights would be really appreciated. Update 2. I wanted to share an update with all of you and reflect on some things I've been processing lately. My fiancé and I are still separated, and I'm living on my own. We've had some civil conversations recently, and he's returned to me a lot of my belongings I couldn't take with me to the Airbnb. He's also expressed the desire to get me an apartment in the area so I can move out of my Airbnb. I'm still holding on to a small hope that we might be able to rebuild something, but I'm also trying to stay realistic. I've been in therapy twice a week, doing a lot of introspection and working hard to understand why I had my affair and how to ensure I never go down that path again. One thing that's become clear to me is that no matter how much work I put in my fiance's eyes, I'll never be the same again. I'll never be able to fully erase the damage I've caused. The person I was, the one capable of betraying the person I love most, still exists somewhere inside me. I can't pretend that just because I'm putting in the effort now, I'm suddenly a better person. The truth is, the capacity for darkness will always be there, lurking beneath the surface. The damage is done, and no matter how many positive changes I make, it doesn't undo the hurt I caused in my fiance's eyes. That said, I realize that I need to balance this perspective. Acknowledging progress doesn't mean I'm minimizing what happened, but it's important to recognize that growth is possible. I need to stay vigilant, keep working on myself, and remain aware that the potential for harm is still within me. It's about building a new life from the ashes of the old one, and doing everything I can to make sure I never fall back into those destructive patterns. Mom, so to anyone else who has been in my shoes, or for those who are trying to understand their partner's journey, this work is ongoing. There's no finish line where you can say, I'm fixed now. It's about making conscious choices every day to be better, to do better, and to be aware of the darker parts of yourself. I'll never take for granted the work that needs to be done, and I'll continue striving to be the best version of myself, even knowing that the worst version still exists somewhere deep inside. Thanks again for all your support. This community has been invaluable to me, and I'm grateful for the insights and shared experiences that have helped me along the way. Update 3. Hey everyone, I wanted to share another update since my last post. It's been a little while, and while I've made some progress, there are positives and negatives. Negative is, I'm still not sure where my fiancé and I stand. We've had some good discussions and some difficult ones, but the future is still unclear. It's hard to know if we're moving towards reconciliation or if we're just delaying the inevitable. The uncertainty is killing me, but my fiancé seems to be handling things as calmly as ever. Recently, I went apartment hunting on my own since my fiancé insists. It was something I never imagined I'd be doing by myself. This was supposed to be something we did together, planning our future and finding a place to start our life as a married couple. Walking through those empty spaces alone, thinking about the life we were supposed to build, hit me harder than I expected. I felt this deep sadness that he wasn't there with me, and it brought back all the feelings of loss and disappointment. After I got home, I felt this intense, almost visceral urge to reach out to the AP. It was like my mind was trying to find comfort in something familiar, even though I know that path only leads to more pain and destruction. For a moment, it felt like I was back during the days my affair started. All the feelings came rushing back, but then something inside me snapped. I realized that reaching out to the AP would only undo everything I've been working so hard to rebuild. I stopped myself. I took control of that moment, and instead of giving in, I focused on what I truly want for myself. A future where I'm proud of the choices I make, where I don't let my past define my actions. A small victory, but it felt huge. I've been trying to regain control over my life, my choices, and my emotions, and for once I succeeded in doing that. I didn't let the past pull me back. I chose to stay on the path of healing and growth and putting my relationship with my fiancé first. I know there's still a long way to go, but this moment of strength gave me hope that I can keep moving forward in the right direction, even though distractions may arise. Hopefully, one day soon, my fiancé will find the clarity he needs to decide what's next for our relationship. Until then, I'm focusing on the little victories and continuing to build a future that I can be proud of. Final update. It's been a few months since my journey started here, but I've finally come to terms with the reality of my situation. It's been just over 2 months since D-Day, and I've come to accept that the person I love, my fiancé, is too hurt by what I've done to see any path forward for us. The wedding has been officially canceled, and families and friends have been informed. I expressed a desire to keep things private, but my fiancé said he didn't want to take a chance. His words hurt almost as much as the pain endured on the D-Day. The conversations about our future together have shifted from possibilities to certainties. He's made it clear that he no longer sees a future with me, and I can hear the finality in his voice when he talks about it. We've started having more practical discussions too. We've talked about how to handle the distribution of our shared assets and what our lives will look like as we separate. Both sides of the family rallied around him. I don't blame them. I know they're supporting him through something incredibly painful, and I've accepted that this is the consequence of my actions. I can only wish things would cool down at least in time for Christmas. He's told me, in no uncertain terms, that he will never love or trust me again. That's the hardest thing to hear, but it's also the truth I need to face. He poured his heart and soul into us, and I disrespected and devalued that commitment. I know I made him question his own sanity when his intuition was spot on, and that's something I have no excuse for. He never wanted this outcome, but when you've been betrayed so deeply, sometimes there's no other choice. He deserves a future where he's valued and respected, and he's made his choice. Now I have to make mine. I won't give up on trying to be the best version of myself, even if that means doing it alone. I'll keep working on my flaws, accepting the consequences of my choices, and striving to build a new path forward. I know that I'll carry the weight of my actions with me for the rest of my life. There will be whispers, judgments, and moments of overwhelming sadness, but I'm committed to putting in the work every single day to be a better person. Even though our relationship is over, I'll continue to support him in any way I can, and I'll give him the space he needs to heal. I want to show, through my actions, that I'm serious about becoming a better person, even if we can't be together. The future is still unwritten, and while I'm mourning the life we won't have together, I'm determined to write a new story for myself, one that reflects growth, resilience, and the lessons I've learned from this painful chapter. Thank you to everyone who has supported me through this process. I know this isn't the ending I wanted, but it's the one I need to accept. Moving forward, I'll keep working on myself and hoping that one day I'll be able to look back and see how far I've come.